agus fáilte go trí seascad den program ag BBC-Alba h-Alba go cria sul spórs na ban. Is me Iona Ballantyne agus mi t-slighe go bhfuil díos é in acin ar a program Giofnag, Rachel Mair bh skip a Giffnock agus cluicheadair Rangers Kirsty Howat. Ag program na Giofnag, Bhí Kirsty scríbarás trógéir cheachcin choimhearsnachd le skip a Rangers I buin ag a chéad chúpa achga agus a chéad thuais gan téisin. Cluich sin cúteach mún ópar háiríte ha Rachel agus Kirsty Janu go cheangail siar I Lántain ACL. Agus géibh sin fachcail bhoireannaich na Sirens agus na Scottish Thistles, Emily Nicholl mu bethe and in Astràilia. Kirsty and Rachel, welcome to the programme.
Thanks for having us.
It's great to have you both on. There is so much to talk about because you've been doing so much amazing work related to ACL injuries. But first of all, Kirsty, we have to give you a huge congratulations for winning the SWPL Cup with Rangers at the weekend. Are you still on a massive high?
Thanks very much. Yeah, obviously absolutely delighted. First time in the club's history that the women's team won a domestic trophy. So yeah, we were delighted and there was big celebrations on Sunday night, that's for sure.
I can imagine it's so well deserved, and you must have been so delighted to get on the score sheet too.
Yeah, I was delighted. Obviously got on at 70 minutes, so a little bit disappointed not to start the game, but we've got such a strong squad, so yeah, to get the nod and then manage to score a goal was a dream come true, and I was delighted. All my family in the stand and stuff as well, so it was great.
Tell us about your goal celebration.
Yeah, I don't know what came over me, but I just ran right over to the Union Bears who were there and done a big knee slide, which wasn't actually good on my on my ACL injury, but no, it was amazing. I was absolutely delighted.
Brilliant. And Rachel, can you tell us how the two of you know each other, how you both kind of came together and what you do now?
Yeah, so obviously I play for Astràilia uni football, and I know Kirsty's little sister Lindsay. Me and Lindsay are really close, and obviously Kirsty came along a couple of our games, and I kind of asked Lindsay, listen, does Kirsty want to help me coach? She's interested, and Kirsty said aye, no bother. So Kirsty helps me coach, and she helps coach the Cali games, and obviously coaches me and coaches Lindsay, and that's kind of how we met and stuff, so yeah.
So you did kind of come together through your injury, because you started to go watch these games whilst you weren't playing.
Yeah, so I obviously had a lot of time up, well, not training and not playing, so after my rehab sessions I'd go and watch them on a Wednesday afternoon, and that was the last season, and then the new uni year started, and yeah, Rachel just asked me to come along and help, and yeah, I've been roped in every Wednesday, travelling all over Scotland. But no, I really enjoy it, and they're a great group of girls, so it's really enjoyable.
That's brilliant. But Rachel, tell us, what makes you so interested about ACL injuries and helping other people?
Yeah, so obviously within Giffnock, one of my teammates, Vic, she obviously had her ACL injury at training. Horrible to see, and kind of almost traumatic for me to see, as well as obviously Vic. So saw kind of the consequences it had on Vic, recovery, not having surgery yet, etc. And then went to coach to Motherwell, and one of the girls who's 14 years old had a ACL injury as well. So obviously seeing the two different age groups, but at the same time both dealing with the same emotions. So I thought we need to do something here, we need to help these girls. There needs to be something out there for these girls to get help, to get advice. So obviously I knew Kirsty and her ACL injury, and I kind of cheekily asked, listen, do you want to do something?
Again.
I was roped in again.
What's going to be the third one?
Oh, I'm just waiting for that text.
I asked Kirsty, listen, do you want to maybe help me organise something for these girls? And it ended up being a very successful night. So thank you, Kirsty, for doing it. And it was really successful, and a lot of the girls got a lot out of it. So.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, we will be covering this throughout the whole programme, but before we get into that too, even just tell us about Giffnock, because I know that you're come across as such a caring and person, that's somebody who wants to help, and I know that you do that through your coaching too.
Yeah, so obviously I was coaching at Giffnock for a long period of time with the under 16 girls there. You know, have a lot of respect and a lot of obviously love for them and those girls, and they taught me a lot about myself as well. But I just thought, listen, I need to have a new challenge, and I've obviously gone to Motherwell, which is obviously national performance, and you know, within that the girls have been brilliant, and you know, they're a great bunch to work with, and just coaches in general. I just feel like I need to make a difference for these girls, not just in the football sense. You know, learning life experience for them is so important. Giving them the confidence and the inspiration to go and play, and that belief that, you know, they can make it. but just giving them life lessons as well, you know, specific things about life that they need to know as well. So that's the reason why I do it.
Oh, it's amazing to hear sport needs people like you. It's so good. But Kirsty, tell us, how much are you enjoying the league this season?
Yeah, no, it's great. Obviously, we've just had the League Cup final and managed to get our hands on that first trophy. So I think for us that will really drive us on and motivate us to go and win more. We're sitting second just behind Glasgow City. Just had a couple of draws, which obviously not the worst, but we wanted to take 3 points for the Celtic and City games. We didn't manage to do that, but we're still in a good position to go and compete, and there's plenty more football to be played. But yeah, just really enjoying it.
Good. Well, it's great to have both of you on the programme, and like I say, we will be hearing about the ACL shortly. Wel bhachan garej, hashin clann-nighean migrún bhoireannaich an ball coshe, had bhí amach as a gamri tripletchin ACL. Ha in the seachcinse choimhearsnachd a chruthachadh an h-Alba, táis cothrom dó bhoireannaich agus clann-nighean jólas a rain when cluicheadair asgu bhoireannaich.
Yn deach gan sgioba yn y Naibrox, chud cluicheadair Rachel Mair agus Kirsty Howat thoirt as choimhearsnachd, gus braing me leont an ACL an the ball caution yn ban. Yn láthar iad an neiche bha cluicheadair an haid bhí stríle gorstach ACL nó at cluicheadair a haid bhí fúling. Cluicheadair an láthar bha manager Dr. Academy Rangers, Emily Nicholl, a húg seachad áirit a bhíneachach a húla sé an còmhla the ACL.
So I think it's quite a very important opportunity for adolescent girls in this case to have this possibility to hear from, let's say, sport scientists or sport medicine practitioner, to give a feedback about the science, but also feedback about my experience as a physiotherapist, but also at the same time, like with Kirsty, the experience of a woman player playing at the elite level who suffer from ACL injury. So I have all of this feedback. I think for these young girls it's a great opportunity, and education is part of prevention.
Pe ha full and partian gian and pdiaf techdrach the neiche, leis gyda'r bhoireannaich agus clann-nighean a hyf na hadafan an the choimhearsnachd bhór, agus anúne lánach fat a cúteach.
A nice recovery time, proper recovery time is 9 months. We know that returning a player before 9 months, the risk of recurrence of the ACL has been repaired is quite high. So at Rangers we take 9 months to restart the return to play process, but we never start by 90 minutes. So during the, let's say, between 8 months and a half, 9 months, the player play maybe 10, 15 minutes, then 30 minutes. So before he reach 90 minutes, we are at 9 months and a half, maybe even 10 months. So I think it's a fair return to play for elite level.
Anúne lánach a garach a réan cluicheadair agus an sgioba. Rwydig yn ha cluicheadair St. Mirren Ciara Níchgan Tur, a bhahan lára the neiche gyma eolach.
Yeah, it was interesting hearing Kirsty speak about it because we did our injuries in exactly the same way. So she was talking about pressing a centre half who changed direction, so she changed direction and it just went, and it was an identical story for me. So I felt in the moment like, you know, I'd been shot in the knee. It was very strange, but then I thought I could play on. So that was a bit of a kind of strange one because you've clearly done quite a severe injury, but in the moment, adrenaline or whatever, you think you're fine, possibly slightly different for her, but thereafter it was a challenging one. It was misdiagnosed, I think, by 3 different physios at the time, and you know, it was a case of, no, your leg looks strong, I think your ACL's fine, it's probably just a hamstring pull. So before you know it, 3 months later, it took a 4th physio to say, look, I think you need to go for an MRI here. So MRI was done and they said, look, we don't know, we can't tell. We actually are going to need to go in and operate and see what's in there. And it was only when I woke up from that surgery that he said, you don't have an ACL, I'm going to need to kind of build you one. So then COVID hit. So before you know it, you're kind of 4 years down the line. And that's kind of what happened with me. So a wee bit different. I think one of the things that Kirsty did brilliantly there was say, look, everybody's journey is really different, but you know, maybe this will help, and I think it will have helped everyone in the room.
Thoirt is in mar seo cútramach an the bhí checas cluicheadair agus cóirtíche na dáin is an leonta na heachnach, a go thuúlaigh an sin a dors taiche an newing ha stríle gorstach ACL, ha rionnag go dil fisacad nach éilú na dúnar san slí lánachach.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think particularly for younger people, if I had done that this night, either just before injury or just after injury, I would have gone about it completely differently. And if they're early enough in their journeys that they do that, or are teammates of people who then go and have ACL injuries and they can pass that on, brilliant, because there's a lack of research, there's a lack of support. I did mine at a different club than I'm playing for now. I'll be honest, I don't think there was a great impetus to help me do anything about it at the time. So, you know, that's fine, and it's bygones. I think we're in a different place now, but this can only help. And it's great to see more and more people in the game kind of, I guess, acknowledge this makes a massive impact to people's lives. And it is happening to more female footballers than I guess kind of anywhere else. So the more that people can familiarise themselves maybe with what needs to happen, the better that clubs will be able to deal with it.
Ha sgynio gyfil yn corach sioedd tosiwg an y balcosin yn ban yn Alba. Yn y sien doch is y mis dochter yn mar Olivia, gydos eich barach rawn sy'ch chi. Is yn coed eith yn siefer parsio neila an y balcosin yn ban y gydag arach gys lewnt yn mar ACL hechnag sy'n hir dol ymach.
Yeah, the female football has been so much until now taking from the male. What is done in the male is done with a woman. But now we start to realize that it's not correct, and we must design the things for the woman, because a woman is not a man. There are so many differences between the gender, between male and female, and we really need to progress in sport science, but also in sport medicine. I think also in terms of coaching, we need really to develop more in all areas and move toward the women's specialties to match really and design things for the women football, because they don't have the same foot, they don't have like the men, so the boots are currently designed for men will not fit women. It's the same maybe for the ball. Even they are playing at elite level, they don't have maybe they are not playing maybe on the same quality pitch. So there are so many factors that we still have in front of us to improve. So we can just get better. These are good things.
That looks like such a brilliant evening, and the two of you obviously put so much into it. But Rachel, can you tell me, for those who weren't there, what was actually involved in the night, what they heard from the two of you, what they did? Yeah, so we had obviously Olivia there. He obviously came in very kindly and kind of did a presentation on the science, the physio behind the ACL injury, you know, how long an injury takes, what is an ACL, and kind of just giving a more in-depth description of what the ACL and the ACL injury is, which was brilliant. I think a lot of people took a lot out of that. And then obviously I had Kirsty here, who spoke about her experience and obviously emphasised that it was her experience. And obviously, as Kira said in that video, everyone's experiences are different, and we're just speaking about Kirsty's experience and how she dealt with the injury and kind of different things she did to combat the mental side of the injury, because obviously having an ACL injury is so tough on your mental health, and it was good to have Kirsty there to kind of share her experience, and the young girls and the girls there could relate to Kirsty in that sense. But yeah, and then just at the end we had a wee workshop where people kind of got to chat to Kirsty, ask her questions, and also have a wee discussion about, you know, other people's ACL experiences. So it was a good night overall, and really glad how it went. It sounds like you covered so much, but Kirsty, for people who don't know, I remember when the news came out that you did tear your ACL, it was a shock. You'd only recently just signed with Rangers, a prolific goal scorer with Glasgow City. Next thing you know, you're away for surgery and not playing for so long. Can you just take us back to the start and what actually happened? Yeah, so I'd actually just signed for Rangers in the December, and then this was in the April. I was playing well, I was scoring, and then we'd played a game on the Sunday, and it was a midweek game against Celtic at Celtic Park, so obviously a big occasion, being there, playing against Celtic, first Old Firm, being as like a Rangers player. So yeah, I was really excited, and then literally 10 minutes into the game, I just went to press a defender and change direction, and as I changed direction, my studs got like stuck in the ground, and I felt a pop in my knee. So yeah, I was absolutely devastated. And to be fair, the club supported me so well, and I was so thankful for all the help that
they gave me and the support that they gave me.
Did you know at the time when you were on the pitch what was to come over the next year? Did you realise the extent of it?
No, I don't think you do. To be honest, I don't think you realise until the injury actually happens to you just the extent of it and how you're going to feel. I think from my point of view, I have so many teammates and friends that had done their knee numerous times, and you feel sorry for them. You feel like you want to help them, but don't really know how to help them, but you never really think it's going to happen to you. So for me, yeah, just felt devastated that it happened to me, and yeah, I wasn't quite sure or wasn't aware of the journey that was about to entail.
It was a long time that you were out for, almost a year. What was involved in that year through kind of the operation, rehab, recovery, getting back to training? Yeah,
so I think from the injury to my return to play, I was 11 months, 10 months post-operation, I got back on the pitch. But yeah, just full ACL reconstruction, so major surgery. Then from there, just learning to walk again, which I didn't think I'd be doing at 24, it's crazy. Loads and loads of gym work, strength work, trying to build up my quad again. Yeah, just balance work, jumping again, running again, individual sessions with physio, and then returning into training non-contact with the team and then into contact before finally getting to be back on the pitch with my team.
How did it take its toll on you mentally and physically?
I think physically, obviously going through surgery in itself was, yeah, it's a pain I've never probably experienced or dealt with before. But I think you just have to take it in your stride. Like, I wanted to get back on the pitch so much, and I think that's what kept me going. Physically and mentally, I kept pushing myself. Mentally, I just tried to do as much as I could off the pitch as well to try and help me. So I was saying I documented a lot of my journey to just keep myself motivated. I learnt a bit of Spanish. I was just going to mention that. Yeah. I'd done a 10-week Spanish course, nowhere near close to being fluent in Spanish. But again, it was something to just try and take my mind away from football, take my mind away from my rehab. I'd done a bit of commentary as well for Rangers TV, which was good. Again, something to add to my CV. Still to do with football, but maybe when I stopped playing, I've obviously got that under my belt. So yeah, I just tried to keep myself as busy as I could to help myself mentally, and then just use the support that was around me, family and friends and teammates to keep me going.
We heard from Ciara McIntyre there too. We also had a feature with her on the programme a few weeks ago, and she was clearly so thankful for the evening and for the workshop, and she learnt so much. For you, do you feel like things would have been different had you known what you know now beforehand?
Yeah, I think so, definitely, and I think that's why it was so important and so good for the girls, but also rewarding for me to be able to share my experiences with people that are maybe about to have surgery or just had surgery. And yeah, I think that awareness would have been definitely helpful in my recovery.
Rachel, what did you take away from Olivier? There's so much that he obviously knows about this injury.
He is such a knowledgeable guy. You know, when Kirsty kind of said, oh, Olivier, he would come in and help us with the presentation, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what we need. But as he mentioned in the evening, you know, emphasising the whole gender issues within the women's game, and that, you know, your football boots, it's fit for men, you know, it's shaped, the studs are fit for a men's foot, a men's hip, a men's knee. You know, that's a massive issue that is potentially causing these ACL injuries within the women's game. You know, there's so many players within the female game now that are doing their ACL recently as well. But also, like, the other things like the standards of the pitch. You know, he was saying that when you went to Champions League in Greece, the pitch quality was nowhere near the UEFA standards that you'd expect compared to the men's game. So he really kind of touched on things that you wouldn't have really thought of, and touched on things that weren't obvious. And I think a lot of people there kind of went, oh, an eye opened, and kind of, I hope that creates a conversation, and you know, there's a difference being made within that as well.
And you talk about boots, it's such a simple thing when you think about it, but actually could make a huge difference. And also you mentioned the pitch there in Greece. Yeah. Was that going through your mind when you were playing?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the pitch standard over in Greece in our Champions League qualifier was, yeah, it was disgraceful, to be honest. None of us should be playing on that. But yeah, I think for me, it was really sticky. A lot of the girls were quite worried, and that was going through my head. You know, if I plant here, I'm at risk of again going and getting a serious injury. One of the girls injured her foot just because her studs got caught in the ground. So yeah, I think things like that. Obviously, the women's game's got such a long way to go, unfortunately, with stuff like that.
Rachel, what about on the night, seeing everyone there? It wasn't just players and coaches. There were just, well, players with injuries. There were just players and teammates there too. How pleasing was it to see that?
Oh, it was lovely. It was really, really lovely to see. A lot of the girls who were teammates learnt a lot and kind of came up to me and said, listen, like, learnt so much and understood the importance of warming up, doing the activation properly to prevent an injury. But it was really nice having the parents come up to me and say, listen, thank you so much for organising this. You know, it really meant a lot to them, and the fact that you've made a difference to not only players but parents, coaches as well means the world, and that's why we did it.
You're making such a huge difference, the two of you. What did you both get out of the night for yourselves?
Yeah, I think from my point of view, just being able to help other girls in the game, obviously, I think I said it quite a lot on the night physically and with the facilities that I had, probably journey-wise in terms of that will be so different, but I think the main message that I was trying to get across was, although we all have different experiences, I think mentally probably a lot of the challenges are very similar, no matter who you play for. So to be able to try and get that across was really good. And then for myself individually, I think reflecting actually as well on the full process. I hadn't ever really sat down and properly reflected and looked back on the full journey that I had. So sitting making a presentation, I was like, oh, actually I've came a long way since when I first done it, yeah.
And scoring in cup finals.
Yeah.
What about you, Rachel?
I think for me, obviously, as a coach, I learnt a lot about the ACL and obviously how to prevent it, what to do as a coach to obviously help a player, especially one of my girls who's obviously going through the ACL injury recovery now. But also I think in a sense it's definitely created a conversation, and I've definitely learned, you know, these things need to be talked about, and there's a lot of other things within the female game that needs to be spoken about. You know, potentially in the future, maybe all things, another workshop could be put in place, or another ACL evening to help more people, because a lot of people unfortunately couldn't make the night but said they would absolutely love to come if there'd be another evening. So all in all, I think it was a great experience.
That's a third thing she's meant. There it is.
So I definitely say, as a coach as well as kind of within the female game, it's taught me a lot about, you know, how to organise something, but also the reward of helping people. That's the main thing why I did it.
Well, it was amazing to see, amazing to hear. Honestly, thanks so much for sharing your story. We will be coming back to it very shortly, though. Well, bhoireannaich ball-lìn na h-Alba Emily Nicholl is mentioned gnoi thuille sin aichgin sin spórs éige is sé farpis son Alba agus bretain ag ire internationte. Ach inis ha Emily spin agus úrain si fain còthrom cluiche colorí príomh skipa Astràilia West Coast Fever, hur sin facail Emily fioch choimhearsnachd.
Season ball-lìn trang rionnag Scottish Thistles Sirens Emily Nicholl. Ach, have you get dois and miele?
Yeah, it's probably been one of the busiest netball years that I've probably ever had. So obviously we had our Sirens season from about February to June. So that's obviously really intense, and you know, we're battling out with the top teams in the UK. But then what was really exciting this year was how many Thistles opportunities we've had. So went to the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham with the Scottish team. So that was 5 games in 7 days, I think. And then quickly off the back of that, we had World Cup qualifiers for Scotland. So that was 5 games in 5 days. So thankfully we did the job and qualified for World Cup. And then very quickly, within a few weeks, we then went out to South Africa just recently for 2 weeks to compete in the Diamond Challenge, which again was 5 games in 7 days. So it's been effectively 3 Commonwealth Games worth of games this year, which has been absolutely amazing to get that exposure. But yeah, really, really busy.
Ha Emily and Piarsh Astràilia an raste, le còthrom le training agus cluich colorí cuiste na cluicheadair an ball-lìn na siar.
Yeah, so I first heard about this opportunity to be in Astràilia in February. Karen Atkinson, who heads up Netball Scotland and oversees kind of Sirens and Thistles, called me up to let me know that they wanted to push some players to get exposure in higher levels, higher standard of the game, to basically drive our game back home. Unfortunately, I was one of the athletes selected. So from South Africa, I've flown over to Perth in Astràilia. And I'm getting to train with the West Coast Fever, who actually won the Suncorp Super Netball competition in Astràilia last year. So effectively, they're the best club team in the world. So it's amazing and a dream come true, really, to be out here and getting to be with the girls day in, day out and live their life.
Ha Emily gadgeach nuair a thuirí meach mún chom cluich an Astràilia an thoiseach, go raibh tóirí toirteteach.
So I kind of was shocked when she initially told me, and then the immediate reaction was just to cry. And my mum, I went through to tell my mum, and she was just like, what's wrong? And I was like, oh, my dreams are coming true. So yeah, it was pretty much a fairy tale moment when I initially found out, but I had to basically keep it quiet for months and months and months. And it was only in October, after World Cup qualifiers had finished, that I found out my flights had been booked. So I hadn't really allowed myself to think that it was really going to happen, because I would have been devastated had it not happened. And then again, it was quite difficult because I had the South Africa tour first, so I had to focus on those games. And then it was only really when I waved bye to the team in the airport and I realised it was just me and I was heading to Astràilia that it all kind of really set in. And I think actually when I was singing the national anthem for the last time in South Africa, I just took a moment to really appreciate how amazing this is. I'm playing for my country, I'm about to go to Astràilia, I'm train with these girls, that I really have achieved what I've set out to achieve. It was just a really surreal moment, and I really just took a moment to just appreciate what I've done, which was really cool.
Ha Emily son a thula cála dúnsaithe sían an pearst, thuirtí rascún skip a eiche Sirens. Gus cuideachach ire game a thuirtí earth and an Alba.
Yeah, so I'm the first player to get this opportunity, so that in itself is momentous and something I'm really honoured to have. But these girls that make up the SSN teams, it's the best league in the world. So by exposing Thistles to that environment, I can go back to my Sirens environment and my Thistles environment and try and take some of the concepts back that they do, just even the intensity, the standards of training, the way of life. These girls are full-time netballers, which we don't have the luxury of that within Scotland. So it's really, I'm trying to get to grips, I'm trying to chat to all the players, the S&C coaches, just really find out what's their system, how does it work, what does a week look like for them, do they have more training than we do, or what's the intensity like, and just how do they drive such high standards, so that I can really take that home and try and encourage this pattern to continue within Scotland, so that we can really drive our standards up.
Ball-lìn na h-Alba son na cluicheadair go leisachug, agus cin cuideachug a bhí go massú suúrnaid bhí. Ha corman mar at seo I deanú tóian amasachga.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really cool that I'm out here, and I think it's something that Netball Scotland are going to try and drive and encourage more players to get the opportunity to do this. And I would jump at the opportunity again already. I've absolutely loved it. And I just think, it's a really new way of thinking. And I think obviously it's now gone public that I'm out here, and so many people have really been like, wow, this is such a great initiative. And, you think about even loads of girls in the England team, they're obviously competing at a really high standard, but they've never even been exposed to a Suncorp environment. So the fact that I'm getting this opportunity is really, really small. Not many people get such an opportunity to do this, especially someone from Scotland. So yeah, it's amazing from West Coast Fever, first of all, to be willing to have me in the environment. And then it's just really, really cool that Netball Scotland have actually started to think like this and really push the boundaries and think, how can we make better? Because I totally believe that we are on a pathway to great things within Scotland, and it's really cool that those higher up are also got the same mindset.
Ha bethe ball-lìn Emily an Astràilia mar aisling, agus chanar ní critsin gur a seo a bethe. Si rid a haun nach Giofnag go brag.
Well, even current Emily can't believe that I'm doing this. And I am, everybody knows across the netball world that I am such a netball geek. So yeah, just the fact, from a fan perspective, as a younger Emily, I've obsessed over the SSN. I watched every single minute of it. Like, I never miss a game. I know every single netballer that there is to know, basically. So from a fan perspective, like, it's such a pinch me moment. Like, I genuinely can't believe that I'm here, and I'm really just trying to embrace it all and record it all. But I just would also be super proud of myself that I've been brave enough to come out here myself and just throw myself into the environment, because obviously it is super daunting that these girls are the best. But I'm just really trying to tell myself that, you know, I deserve this opportunity and just own it and take everything with two hands, and because you only get this shot once, so might as well make the most of it.
What a lovely feature from Emily, and someone who's clearly living the dream. Kirsty, you know what it's like playing for a team that you grew up just loving.
Yeah, no, she is. She looks like she's having a great time over there, and yeah, she spoke a lot about as a kid growing up and watching all the games over in that league, and I was pretty similar growing up watching Rangers, and yeah, to then be given the opportunity to become a full-time player and play professionally for Rangers, it's a dream come true, and every day I'm just so grateful and thankful to have the opportunity.
We can see how much you love it. We can see how much Emily loves it. Probably the sun helps too, I can imagine.
Absolutely.
But Rachel, how important is it even to have an opportunity like this and to be able to take back what you've learned from a totally different level back to your team?
Well, it's a massive opportunity for her, and I'm sure she's taking everything in her stride. You know, when she comes back, she's going to have all this knowledge. Her teammates are going to look at her and see her as this influencing character. You know, and not even that, young girls are going to look up to her as an inspiration. So, you know, she's getting the best of both worlds. She's getting so much knowledge, because I'm sure the Australian game is so much money and potential over there. So to come back to Scotland and to provide that for her teammates and young girls as well, to impact them, is amazing.
It's great to see. We do hope Emily enjoys the kind of last couple of days out there. But for the two of you, going ahead ACL-wise, what would you like to see done next in terms of research into this injury?
I'd definitely say for me, to spark a conversation. I really hope that, you know, people, not just in Scotland, down south as well, and in Ireland as well, see this as an opportunity to create more research and more conversations for young females, and not only just young females, older adults as well, for the female game, and, you know, host their own workshops, and, you know, get young girls into a room and talk to them and educate them, because it's so important. So that's the main thing for me, is to spark a conversation.
What would you like to see?
Yeah, just the same really. It was great to obviously have all the girls there, but again, there's probably 20, 30, 40 more girls in Scotland that are going through this injury, so I think for us going forward we could probably look at maybe hosting another night, because there was a lot of people that weren't there. So yeah, I'm sure I'll get roped in soon to having another night.
Since speaking about it though, have you had people come up to both of you who have been through this, who hadn't spoken about it before?
Yeah, I think just on the night especially, like, a lot of girls came up to us. I had messages on Instagram from some of the girls that were teammates just saying thank you, and they've learnt so much to be able to then help support their friend, which was so nice to hear from my point of view. Yeah.
Now, I've had numerous emails, Instagram messages, Twitter messages from not only people who attended, but people who unfortunately couldn't attend, people from down south saying, listen, what a fantastic idea, great initiative from yourself. So good, it was a good response all around, and hopefully if I do rope you in, we can get another one going.
Yeah. So we need to keep an eye on that. Yeah. What happens next? Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. Honestly, you guys, you are doing so much amazing work. I can imagine it will continue. As we know, there's so much more to talk about in terms of this. But to the two of you, thank you so much for joining us this week. It was great to have you on, and we'll definitely be at your next event.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Well, sin son nach agus son na bliana bí sin arastan éileach, sin Giofnag son bliana haringach éile an is spórs na ban in Alba. Smar sin, Jan Cín seach go bhfuil sibh lentin BBC Alba ecils gon cáil sibh program san bí. Agus céinechibh gem SWPL na ddíire cheachgain Spartans agus Glasgow City bio BBC Alba. Bhain ulen seo trí seascad nolach réal agus bliana bheith nuair a hici.